Jet Reno is able to punch a subspace comms hole through Bracca's wall of death. Captain Ake tells the doctor to run training simulation Hermes 19, kind of. Genesis Lithe thinks she has to pee. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Seventh Rule with Sirach Lofton.
Hello.
My name is Ryan T. Husk, and today we are doing a review of Star Trek Starfleet Academy Season 1. It's the finale, Episode 10, entitled Rubincon. Story by Noga Landau and Gaia Violo. Teleplay by Alex Kurtzman and Kirsten Beyer. Directed by, you know him, Olatunde Osunsanmi. How you doing today, Sirach?
Man, I'm good. It's a lot of difficult names to pronounce there.
Yeah, but names we need to learn because these are the movers and shakers of the Star Trek world. And it had that really cool story by teleplay by thing we were talking about the other day. Feels like Star Trek, you know?
It does. It does. There was a lot of Star Trek feel on this episode.
Mm-hmm.
How'd you like it?
Well, let me tell you. I got like 40 nitpicks. And I got like 6,000 things I liked about it. So I don't know what we're going to be able to cover. But I'll tell you, in a nutshell, the music blew me away again. But I didn't notice it until more towards the end, which tells you how gripping the writing was. Because usually I notice it kind of early on. But this time I was like, oh yeah, shit, the music's really good. Whereas usually I catch it right away. I laughed out loud once or twice. Jet Reno, when she said, good calculation. So she goes, solid B, good calculation. But I'm going to have to dock points for the attitude. And when I say I laughed out loud, I mean, I actually literally at midnight last night laughed out loud and woke up the neighborhood, hopefully. So overall, to answer your question in a nutshell, I enjoyed it. I was happy with it. It was everything that you would want and expect. Although I did expect a double cross somewhere in there, maybe a spy, maybe from the mom. And I did expect somebody to die. I thought the mom Caleb's mom was going to die, making Captain Nala Ake kind of his new mother figure. And I thought maybe Noose Bracca was going to die. But now these are characters that can come back in season 2. So this is a whole open door for the next season.
Yeah, I didn't really think about who would die or not. I just felt like it's too early. We only get 10 episodes, and they barely introduce some, these characters. So, wasn't anticipating a death per se. What I will say that I felt this episode did a fantastic job of tying in all of the stuff we had seen all the way up until this point. Because we start this show with the episode about, Caleb and his mom on trial and getting separated and Noose Bracca, and that's the start of the show.
Yeah.
And it picks up right from there in the beginning, in the opening, sequence of this episode. It kind of picks up right from that point. Filling us in kind of, like this is what's happened so far. These are the trauma. This is the relationship. And remember, the promise that Nala made was she's going to help him fight his mom. So again, there's a full circle of that kind of storyline playing out. So I like how they set up all of these stories and one by one gave us closure on each one of them.
Yeah, and the trial was reminiscent in a way of things that we've seen before. We've seen the Federation on trial before with Q, so there was a nice nod there. We did see the Discovery fly by like for half a second, and we also saw some USS Nog class ships at the end there. There are a lot of things that were reminiscent. There was one other thing, and I'll have to check my notes to remember what it was. But there was one other thing where I was like, oh, that's cool. That's like a nice little nod. Oh, I need to check to make sure this is right. But somebody, I think it was Sam, said, hey, this isn't as easy as making pineapple cake or something like that. And I was like, wait
Yeah.
a minute, pineapple cake, that triggered my nerd memory. And I'm like, I feel like that happened in Enterprise. I think maybe Hoshi gave, I'm going to say it's either Trip or it's Lieutenant Reed, Connor or Dominic, pineapple cake for his birthday. And I'm going to Google that to make sure I've got that right. But when I heard that, I made a note of it because I was like, wait a minute, I remember this. I think it was Hoshi.
Yeah. I have no idea because I had never seen any of that. So that flew way over my head. But what didn't fly over my head was the Federation on trial concept, which we did see. Wasn't that in the pilot episode of The Next Generation? Wasn't Q?
Yeah,
Uh, that was the pilot episode, right? Q putting Picard on trial and everything.
right. And of course, it was the other one. It was Hoshi, and she gave it to Lieutenant Reed for his birthday, and it was pineapple cake. I know I'm
Okay.
saying this right now because I know people are yelling at their screen. They're like, you said it was either Trip or Reed, but then you guessed through. You fake fan. Okay. Anyway, that is settled. Please continue.
All right, now we got to settle the other one, which is the episode where Q put Picard on trial.
It was
That
the
was
pilot. You were right.
It was the pilot. Okay.
But he says the trial never ends. And no spoilers, Sirach, since you and I are in season 7
Yeah.
of The Next Generation, but this does come back up soon.
Yay!
And also, it even came up in the Picard series as well, but I don't want to give any spoilers about TNG, but yes, I'm glad you remember that. It's very important.
Yeah. Listen, I thought that this episode was gripping. The language was great. So, shout out again to the teleplay. I think you said Alex Kurtzman and Kirsten Beyer.
Kirsten Beyer, right? Exactly.
Yeah. The language was really, again, back to kind of flashback of Ronald D. Moore when he writes an episode and I'm writing down all his lines because I just like the way he writes lines.
Yeah. It's like nonstop notes. Yeah.
It's just nonstop me writing his lines down just because I'm like, these are mic drop lines, they're just well written. And I felt like there was a lot of those in this episode as well. Just lines that I felt like, one where News Baraka, Paul Giamatti, gives a great delivery.
It's a monster.
And he kills this again. But he says, had you not reached out from your exalted perch and intervened.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking to, Nala, Captain Nala. So I thought the way he said it though, like, thank you for, reaching down and dealing with us little people,
Yeah.
It was so well written. It was like it's a Shakespearean to me line. Had you not reached out from your exalted perch and intervened.
He is a very Shakespearean character. A lot of that is how he's written. A lot of that is how he's acted. Because a lot of times, I'm sure you do this probably even more than I do, but when I'm watching something and there's a really good line, like, oh man, the first thing you think is, or at least I do, and you probably do something similar, is I think, what's it look like on the page? Did this actor make it a good line? Was it his delivery, or was it a great line, or was it both? And he takes a good line or a great line and he makes it theatrical. He makes it like gold ducat, dripping with hate or with drama or with sarcasm. It is just filled to the brim in every meaty chunk of juiciness that you want in a line. I don't know what that means, but I think you do. And it's just like, it's well written, and a lesser actor, you give them this well written but emotionally complex line, it may not come out right. It may not work. It may not be believable because it's written as such an extreme kind of character that if the actor can't meet that level of extremity or extremeness, I don't know, then it feels weird. But he meets it so well.
Well, I think he enjoys playing the villain. I think,
Oh yeah.
when I think Giamatti has been a good guy most of his career, like
Hmm.
played on the good characters. I don't know how many opportunities he gets to play villains, but he certainly looks like he enjoys playing the villain. And because he enjoys it, he really gets into the role and exaggerates moments. Really has a playfulness about the moments. I like when he walks in on the bridge and he says, "We always knew I'd sit in this chair," and then he looks over and he says, "Oh, my two favorite girls are here." And then he looks at Jet Reno and he says, "You, I don't like you."
I'm sure she feels the same.
And Reno's face was great because she does one of these like, okay, I can live with that. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
good.
you don't like it,
Sounds
that's good.
sounds right. But back to what you were
Yeah.
saying about the lines, it's not just Paul Giamatti. It is one of my pet peeves is writers that write lines that people wouldn't say. It kills me when I'm like, people don't talk like that.
Yeah.
Nobody would
Yeah.
say that. It's a creative and interesting and beautiful line, but that's not how people freaking talk. It's not real. It's not normal. It doesn't. That's not a.
Most
That's not
actors change that though. Most actors will change that line that you just said.
to
I've
make
changed
it
those
work.
lines
Yep.
too. I have said that nobody talks like this, or
No.
this guy, not nobody, this character
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't
Mm-hmm.
talk like this.
But in this episode, it was chock full of lines that fit the character. And to your point, the dialogue was. I have zero qualms with the dialogue. I thought it was perfect.
Yeah, and then delivery wise, some of these lines are simple and they're very well delivered. So some of them are not just these amazingly brilliantly written lines. Some of them are just simple lines, but are very well delivered. And in Sam, for example, when she said, "Where's my dad?" It was
Mm-hmm.
a very simple line, but it resonated with me because it just
And it's what
you
she
could
would have said right then.
yes, and so for me that those lines that resonate truthfully are the ones that to me are the best written. So another one was when Caleb's mom was she said Captain Nala said, "You broke out of prison," and her response was, "Well, what did you expect me to do?" And
Yeah,
it's like
totally. Yeah.
it's a believable line. It was believable, well written, well delivered. I thought by the actor in this case. So uh, very good guest performances in this episode. We have obviously Paul Giamatti as a guest actor in this, and uh, the woman who's playing Caleb's mom,
Yeah, Tatiana Maslany. Yeah, she
Tatiana
pretty good.
Maslany.
She pretty
She was
good.
pretty damn good, and she had some really good lines and a nice monologue in this episode where she was telling Captain Ake, she said, "I want you to feel it every day, like the cold or hunger or a broken bone.
Mm-hmm.
I want it, I want it there when you close your eyes." She goes on, "For the rest of your life, I want you to close your eyes and see me. The only way I get to dance, that's the only way I get to dance on your grave." And it was like, there's some people, and this is why it rang true to me when she said it.
Mm-hmm.
There is a group of people, and a large group of those people in the world that are that hold on to revenge,
Mm-hmm.
and that is exactly the sentiment that they have. Like they wake up every day singularly focused on burning in someone's head, that they were going to dance on their grave, essentially.
You know what I
And
love is right there when you were describing that, your eyes kind of like lit up, like you've almost had that feeling, but you're not that kind
yeah,
of person. But I'm like, you've
yeah,
dabbled in this.
no,
But
well,
I get what you
no,
mean.
because
Yeah,
I've had conversations with people that feel passionately about things, and they're like,
it's a driving force. Yeah,
it's a driving force in their life, and I'm like, you know, I try to talk about some kind of, like a horizon line that can take you out of that mindset, right? Because it's a dedicated mindset to destroy your enemy. In this case, that's uh, Caleb's mom perceived Nala to be her enemy, right? And so it was like a singular dedication to do this, and even Moose Baraka, he's got this singular dedication because of how he perceives the world to be constructed. Having his homeland destroyed by what he thought was the Federation in this,
right.
and so he had a singular focus of revenge. And what I'm saying is this is a persistent ideology of adhering to a relentless doctrine of revenge and never giving up on it, regardless of the misery that it causes on the way.
Hmm.
You know, which
Everybody.
in this case would have been 100 billion people dying. I think
Yeah,
it's 160 billion
yeah,
people and all
yeah.
this.
That's the number.
Yeah.
So we're gonna take a quick break. Oh, and we got two other little nods to Star Trek. We'll be right back on the Seventh Rule. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Seventh Rule with Sirach. I was in episode 5, Lofton, and maybe more in season 2. I'm hoping. All right.
Hello.
Here are the trivioids of the week, everybody. Jet Reno is able to punch a subspace comms hole through Braca's wall of death. Captain Ake tells the doctor to run training simulation Hermes 19. Noose Braca doesn't know where he was born. Genesis thinks she has to pee. Noose Braca's colony mined strontium, which is Sirach, what you were talking about, that blew up his fire in the sky thing. And Lieutenant Akamu Lee was a lousy singer. Rude. All right. A couple quick things. This was also last week. We know Particle 47, or the Omega 47 particle. 47 is cool Star Trek number.
Yep.
Caleb, when he was talking about, I never knew what it was like to laugh, I feel bad for what I said to them, he said, I can't stay there forever. And I was like, ooh, I feel like that's a very subtle wink and a nod to Deep Space Nine, when they would the prophets would tell, the wormhole aliens would tell Cisco, you exist here. Why do you exist here? As in, why are you staying here? What your trajectory is going off this way, but you are still focused on the past. And him saying that, deliberate or not, I don't know. These people are Star Trek fans, so I would say it is deliberate. It very much struck that chord with me. It made me think of that immediately. A lot of little things like that. A lot of nods to Star Trek of old.
Yeah, a lot of nods. And one other thing they did here, they had they had like a broadcast, like almost like a Federation news
Yeah.
with a Chiron graphic on the bottom
Yeah,
saying,
I was reading those.
I was reading those too, and I thought that was interesting because I think we've only seen a news uh, Federation news in Picard, right? I
It's
don't
good
remember.
knowledge.
I don't remember seeing it in another
You may
Star
be
Trek
right. I
show.
can't think of any others. Yeah.
So I thought, oh, and then they used the drone cameras. Oh, actually, no, they did it on Strange New Worlds as well, right? Because Ortegas's brother
That's
was
right. For the
filming.
documentary.
Yeah. So what I'm saying to say that is, more recently and really more having more of a presence is the idea of a news organization broadcasting Federation news. It's not something that was really uh, gone to depth into on the original kind of shows.
Mm-hmm.
But now we have these new shows coming out in Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Starfleet Academy are highlighting the importance of the media in the world in general, right? Because now we're seeing things are being broadcast, people's minds get swayed by what they
Oh yeah.
see, and so uh, it's almost a medium in which wasn't fully addressed prior to this in the original, 5 shows of Star Trek. They didn't address the existence of the media and how important it was to broadcast as much, even though Jake did join, do some war journalism correspondence. And they talked about that very briefly in that episode about war correspondence. But the idea of the media and how much of an effect it has on the popular opinion is being addressed more and more in these newer incarnations of Star Trek. So they're giving kind of a credit to the fact that popular opinion is shaped and molded by what's broadcast on these, platforms.
Yeah, definitely. I also wanted to point out one other line when you were talking about certain lines initially with Caleb's mom, Anisha Mir. I think this was
Anisha, yeah.
When Captain Ake says to her, "You hate me," and his mom says, "I expected. I don't hate you. I'm just blah blah." And she goes, "More than you'll ever know." I'm like, ooh, oh, that was a good one. That was a
Yes.
good one. That one cuts like a knife. Just another
Yes.
really good line there. Also, the thing that was really Star Trek is just seeing all the cadets work together on something. You knew this was going to happen
Yeah.
by the end of the season. They're all going to come together and they're all going to work as a team and do what they're good at, except for poor Darren Ramey. They do Darren Ramey wrong, man. This guy can't. First, he wanted to be captain, couldn't do that. Then he wanted to be a shoot 'em up, game winner, and he couldn't do that. Now they're like, can you pilot the ship? And he can't do that. Come on, man. Give him something that he's good at, the poor guy. But that's better than the fact that the star of the show was mysteriously absent in this episode. Akam Sadal.
Yeah.
Akam Sadal. That's his last name. He was not in the last 2 episodes at all. And the saddest moment of my life was when I replayed that end, the baby pictures, 3 times to make sure I didn't miss Akam Sadal. There were 15 people listed there, including 2 voiceover actors. They had the ship's computer baby picture, but they didn't have the 7th cadet. And I am like, who did he piss off? Did he pull like an Ime Udoka or what? What did something happen? Because he was like not even anywhere. They wiped him out clean. Anyway.
Yeah, that I don't know, but I didn't really think about that. Yeah, you're right about Akam. I mean, that's one of your favorite characters. But yes, I like the cadets working together. I like them hiding in the airlock. I like them, Genesis getting the comm and kind of having her moment sitting in the chair.
For sure.
I like that was a nice moment. I thought that, they gave us a little bit of the Tarima, Caleb, psychic power stuff. So they touched back on it, not too much, which was great because I didn't want too much of that, but it was just enough of it for it to make sense. I love the fact that she's able to kind of, she can track somebody through space and time with her powers.
Right, like Deanna Troy. But poor Deanna Troy was so off and on based on the episode, whereas these writers are like, hey, I got an idea. Why don't we keep it consistent? Why don't we just say it's a power that she has always that she can use whenever she wants?
Yes. Yes. Let's just call it that,
Let's say that's what she has, yeah.
Yeah. Deanna Troy is like, it's kind of like the greatest American hero of psychic abilities.
Yeah.
It's like, it doesn't all, it can fly, but it can't land.
Yeah, and sometimes doesn't exist at all.
Exactly.
Sometimes Picard's like, I wish we knew if this guy was lying to us, counselor. And she's like, let's ask Worf.
I sense you want an answer, Captain. Yes, I asked you a question. So yes, I thought that again. Paul Giamatti, man, he's so great. When he said, Captain Nala's giving this whole speech, and she says, it was actually you, and he says, that's brainwashing. Oh,
Yeah.
he says that to Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb says, I love Starfleet Academy. It's a great place for me, and it means so much to me. And then he says, that's brainwashing. Very good delivery the way he says that's brainwashing. I'm not doing it justice.
When he freaked out, what line did he say? When he said, I'm fed up. You would have thought that line, there's not much you could do with it. And I'm fed up. You say it angrily, or you say it, contain. But even that, he brought it up to 11. Yeah. Unbelievable. I also want to point out George Hawkins, the actor that plays Darren Ramey. I want to give him a shout out because it wasn't all bad. There was a moment where Jet Reno says, by the way, she was great. Obviously, she's always great. She's such a natural. She just says lines and you're like, ooh, that was good.
So good.
She said, smooth flying, Ramey. And the actor, you just get a 1 second of his reaction. He looks back and he smiles, but it looked like such a nice, genuine smile. And it's hard to do like a genuine reaction smile when it's not genuine and it's not a reaction. You know what I mean? But yeah, because it's like fake. Like, how do you fake a genuine smile? But it was 1 second, but every once in a while, you got to appreciate that. I'm like, oh, nailed it. It was a good moment.
Yeah. Jet Reno's so good because she has the most attitude, which is funny because she's docking points for attitude, but she actually has the most.
She's the teacher. She's allowed.
Yeah, I know. And I love her attitude because it's just so great. She had one line where she says, okay, guys, final exam. If you pass, we live. If you fail, we're all dead. And the way she said it was just perfect. But yeah, I mean, Caleb had a really nice moment when he said the Academy saved me, and he was talking about all his friends, and it was being broadcast so they can see it. And he says, they all live for something bigger than themselves. I think that kind of embodies what the Star Trek philosophy is about, ultimately, about being a part of something bigger than yourself. And, I thought that was well worded for, just paraphrasing the views of Star Trek. Look, I just thought there were a lot of really good moments here in this episode. For example, Baraka, and I keep going back to Paul Giamatti because
I know I'm trying not to, but
I'm trying not to.
But when you give a guy 15 really good monologues and he kills them, what do you want us to do?
Well, yeah. Yeah, and even like I'm about to highlight now, there's a one-word moment that he does. Ooh. And he's giving, it's like the trial is over, and he's like, ha ha ha, now this is what's going to happen. We're going to, and somebody interrupts him, says, excuse me. And he looks over at the guy, he's like, what?
Yeah. And then he says, like, check again, or something like that, like a little 2-word thing. And I thought that was also great, but that was the writing as well, where they're just, the guy comes in and he says, we'd scanned whatever, we don't find anybody, and he goes, scan again, or it was whatever it was 2 words. That was good.
Yeah, just nails even the smallest words, the way he puts the extras on it. Sam had a great moment in this where she was, had a moment with Genesis where she's like, look.
She kind of called her out a little bit.
Yeah, she did. She's like, I'm not the same person. And, you had me running around like your lapdog, but now I'm kind of my own person now.
And that's why I don't want to be your roommate next year. By the way, now you know.
Yeah. So that's cleared up.
Yeah. Hey, we only have a couple minutes left already, but we've got a free-for-all up next, everybody. So we've got way more to talk about. But before we go, we got a tough question for you, Sirach. Who gets the home run of today's episode? Oh, Happy World Baseball Classic Day, by the way. There are 8 teams left in the World Baseball Classic. USA versus Canada. But anyway, home run.
This is
Yeah, I know, man. I know.
yeah, this is not easy. I'll tell you what, I really enjoyed the writing, I really enjoyed the directing. But Paul Giamatti gets the home run. Sorry.
Yeah. I like how you apologize to me. The only thing you can apologize for is taking my answer. But my answer is Romeo Carrere, the actor that plays Akam Sadal. He doesn't have to be in this episode to get the home run of today's episode in my heart. But besides that, yeah, it's Paul Giamatti. It's Paul Giamatti, and it's also the people that wrote this episode. It's a whole team, and good for them. They should pat themselves on the shoulder if they haven't already, or on the back, I guess. Shoulder tapping was a totally different thing back in the day that we all remember back in high school.
And you know what? Congratulations to everybody at Starfleet Academy for putting together one of the best first seasons we've seen on a Star Trek show, with a lot of memorable moments and a lot of memorable episodes.
Even better than the first season of TNG?
Well, definitely.
Oh, yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, very memorable show, you know, and introducing all new characters and giving the fans what they want. They have really started off the gate rolling on all cylinders. So I like what I'm seeing so far. And really kudos to them for having put together a great show and acknowledging these DS9 and Captain Sisko in the process. So can't forget that.
Showing some love. Absolutely. Everybody, please make sure, speaking of showing some love, please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell icon for notifications if you're listening in, give us a 5-star rating and a nice review. We'd really appreciate that. And visit us at patreon.com/the7th-rule to support the show. That would be awesome. Here's some people that did that. Their names are Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Eve England out in Wales, Yvette Blackman, Tom T.J. Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Titus Muller, Anil O. Palat, Joe Balsarati, Mike Gu, Dr. Stephanie Baker, Carrie Schwent, Faith Howell, the Matt Boardman, Chris McGee, Jake Barrett, Henry Unger, Allison Leach Hyde, Julie Manosfi, Jed Thompson, Dr. Susan V. Gruner, Glenn Iverson, Dave Gregory, Cassandra G., Mark Zutkoff, Chris Garris, Linda Pages, Steve Case, Stephen Monk, Jonathan Capps, and of course, Jason M. Oken. We want to make sure to give an extra super special thank you to Cassandra G. and of course to Chris Garris of the Transporter Room for not only sponsoring this episode, but for sponsoring this entire season of Star Trek Starfleet Academy. They picked a good one. Yes, and we really appreciate them. We appreciate what Starfleet Academy did, but we really appreciate those two people. Thank you so much. All right. Everybody stick around. We got the free-for-all up next. They might be on it. We'll be right back.
Yeah.
The 7th Rule.
Here we go.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the 7th Rule with Sirach Lofton. This is the free-for-all with Melissa Longo.
What?
Hey, where's Jason M. Oken today? Also, Allison Leach Hyde is here. Mark Zutkoff on the bridge of the Athena. TJ Jackson Bay is hanging out in space. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, is in a home. Yeah. Carrie Schwent has 6 pictures behind her. Chris Garris is outside of the Athena.
Yes, I am.
And the Matt Boardman may have to explain his background. Oh, yeah, the blown up ship. That's cool. Well, we can't guess the IMDb score because this just came out today. Did we get any non-appearance mentions? I mean, pineapple cake. I don't know if that counts.
Oh, that was
that always counts.
I was wondering, and that was a throwback to Enterprise, right?
Right.
But what about the president? Is it still the same president as always?
We don't know.
As before?
Okay.
I would imagine.
Could be.
I'm pretty sure it is.
No.
I mean, this is just post season 5 of Discovery,
damn.
so I would imagine it's probably still the same at this point, right?
Yeah.
And
Oh, I would
speaking
think
of
so.
that, the Discovery crew.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That
You saw
was
the
mis-
Discovery, though.
Yeah, we did.
So I've heard.
And the USS
I couldn't find it.
Nog.
Yeah.
So those are
did.
appearance mentions.
Mentions.
Yes.
But maybe the president.
Ships don't
Yeah.
count.
What about who's going to do
does
some
the
kind of or
Calaxian
some sort of?
furfly count?
No.
I'd say.
Mhm.
Oh,
No, because we know it's not Phlox. He's not a fur fly.
no,
Well,
but
he's not
or
thousands
do
years
we
old either.
see the fur fly before an Enterprise?
Oh,
Okay, we got to move on. Sorry. Melissa Longo, will you please get us started off on the right
fur
track
fly.
since you got us off on the wrong track by telling us what you thought of this episode, please?
I thoroughly enjoyed this episode. I actually really enjoy this series as a whole. And I'm going to try and power through as quickly as I can all of my favorite characters because it's the characters that make this show for me. My favorite character is this woman right here, Captain Nala Ake. I think she is fantastic. And of everyone, except for maybe Jet Reno, she's pretty much the only one who is not afraid to own her own shit and own her own choices. And she goes into the trial and she doesn't flub. She owns up to every choice that she has ever made without flinching. She is not afraid to face her critics or her, be judged by those whom she may have done harm. And she has never shied away from trying to make up for those she may have harmed in the past. I can't say that about Caleb's mom because she didn't own up for her culpability in that man's death. She was just as culpable in Caleb's future as Captain Ake was. And I can't say that she has spent her life trying to make up for that either. She didn't reach out to that pilot's family when he died and try to make amends there. Noose Braca, he's a narcissist. And he has no problem putting the blame on everyone else and claiming to be the victim of every single situation. He's a narcissist. And the other thing I like about Captain Ake is that she is such an active listener. You can see her taking in what people tell her. And it's not put on, there's no fakeness here. And I love that. When Caleb beams in and starts talking about the influence that she's had on him, she visibly gets choked up. She doesn't make a scene. There's no grandstanding for her. She is just here trying to do the best she can and guiding these kids in the best way she knows how. I love her. I love Jet Reno because she is such a fantastic teacher. In this time of crisis, she never once loses her shit again. and each teachable moment, she's there doing it without being condescending or patronizing. She's very interested in helping these cadets learn and to become better officers in the future. Genesis, the only cadet that I've seen on this show not crack under pressure or get lost in her own emotional and personal stuff, and is more than willing to focus at on the task at hand. And she has become a battering ram or a punching bag for a lot of these people. And I don't think that's fair because she's been out there extending a hand, being friends to every single person, trying to help them solve her problems, but not one person has ever tried to help her solve her problems. So those are my three people. No, Caleb. I love Caleb. I think Sandra Rasta is incredible. And there's so much more that I could say. And I do have some nitpicks. One, I'm still tired. I'll just say this one. It takes me out every time there's a heart-to-heart talk when there's a time crunch happening, and it's not the time to go frolicking through flowers and having heart-to-hearts when the Federation is about to blow up. Sorry. That's all.
Thank you very much for that, Melissa. But next time, give us what you really think, okay? Great stuff, as always. Allison Leach Hyde, in the heart of New Mexico, what did you think of this episode?
I thought it was a great cap to this entire season. It wraps up pretty much every major story point, which makes it very satisfying. Like when you're done, you're like, yes, they answered our big questions, and it was a nice follow through. I'm gonna go and just point at my shirt and say, I love Reno. Tig Notaro is amazing. And I also love her in this episode specifically because of the way she's teaching through a crisis. It helps them stay grounded because it's a situation they're used to. They're used to being taught, and they're being taught by her, one of their regular teachers. So it keeps them grounded and moving forward and focusing. I thought that was really well done. And she still has her perfect dry wit through the entire thing. So again, she's keeping it as normal as she can for these kids to have a rock to lean on, because they are kids doing something truly amazing. I love Sam. I love that Sam now has enough emotional background to actually go, wait, no, I am having a problem, and I know I'm having a problem. And I think you think of me this way. And her friend's like, no, that would be insane if I thought you wouldn't change. Of course you've changed. And I like that we had that moment with those two because they are great friends. And Sam is also one of my favorite characters because she's amazing. Just joy. And we've had like unfiltered joy until, after she got to have a childhood, and now we have slightly filtered joy because she has a lifetime of experiences to, I guess, hold up her joy. And so I'm still loving it. When she starts yelling, let's go, I was yelling with her. So love that character as well. And I thought it was interesting that we got to see two children who had severe trauma be adults and how they have dealt with it in very, very different ways. And I thought that was also very nice to see that trauma can lead you to finding out more about yourself, or maybe about turning into a narcissist and wanting to tear everything down. So I thought that was a nice juxtaposition between Newsbraka and Caleb. So really liked it. Very happy.
Awesome. So are we. Thank you very much. Allison Leach Hyde. I didn't realize what that shirt was, but now I do. Pretty cool. It's got the name too. Mark Zutkoff. What's up? You loved this episode probably, right? What'd you think?
Toward the end of the book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, Harry is chasing after Snape, and Snape continues to enforce the lesson he was trying to teach Harry earlier in the story. I got that vibe from this episode where Jet Reno is teaching and challenging the cadets on the bridge at every point, and that really worked for me. While I wish the remaining infighting among the cadets would have been dropped, the interplay was good, and it reinforced the academy aspect of the show. The pseudoscience, or dubious science, went past technobabble and became plot points with individual ticking clocks, none of which were truly clear. In episode 9, Sam can perform huge numbers of computations in the blink of an eye to isolate Anisha Mir's location, but here everything she does, and for that matter the Athena computer, when it repeatedly runs a simulation, goes very slowly to keep the tension rising. The Doctor goes into the computer via his mobile emitter to make it appear that the Athena was destroyed. And when he's brought out, he's talking gibberish a la the DS9 episode Babel, but it's clear that it means something and it takes too long for it to be figured out. We, the viewers, can't figure it out because the references are to science about the Omega-47 that we were not privy to. They certainly made the most of two sets, the Athena Bridge and the captured atrium. The latter turned into a graffiti-laden courtroom for the trial of Nala Ake and the Federation. And what does Nasraka do? Starts monologuing about his childhood and why he hates the Federation, which gives Nala the clues to figuring out what really happened. And while the interplay between Tatiana Maslany and Holly Hunter was good, Anisha primarily stood mute except for brief speeches of hate, not the best use of such a talented actor. The scenes between Genesis and Sam would have hit harder and better had we seen their relationship change over multiple episodes rather than a few montage moments at the ends of a couple. Their speaking Tamza would also have worked better had it been referenced in episodes more recent than the first, Kids These Days. The relationship between Caleb and Tarima was better established through the series, but their ups and downs seemed almost arbitrary. These pairings needed time to cook, and they didn't get it. The on-screen lies of the Venari Rawl News Network and the man-child illusions referenced present-day situations like no other Star Trek show since the first episode of Strange New Worlds, which used present-day clips from 2020. The bottom line is that teaching segments of the episodes were great. Tig Notaro was the highlight performance for me, followed by Holly Hunter. But this series suffered more than any other modern Trek show from the 10-episode limit and the desire to make a big, exciting two-part ending to the season. And my home pun of the episode, the ways they resolved all the huge stakes was a miracle.
Thank you very much, Mark Zutkoff. If anybody doesn't smile when he says home pun, I don't even know what your problem is. Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, what's up? What'd you think of this one? I think you love it.
I loved it. I gave it a 10 out of 10 immediately, so I'm one of the first to rank it. I can't get over how much I love Starfleet Academy from like the second I started watching it, and every rewatch gets better and better. I had my niece Zoe, who's 3. This is her first Star Trek she's ever watched. I think Nala Ake is my captain. She's just incredible, and I love the way that she also was able to like work in teaching moments during huge disasters and make everybody feel seen and heard and respected. And I'm such a nerd for how things look when they're burning. So the fact that like she even worked that in for like a bit of a science angle, putting the pieces together was just incredible. Tig Notaro's amazing. I'm now like the most massive Gina Yashere fan. I like binged Bob Hart's Abishola in like 1 week after I started watching this show because I just can't get enough of her. And, you know, Tatiana Maslany can do no wrong. Such a orphan Black fanatic. So it just has everything. And I never thought I'd care about every single character on a Star Trek show the way I do now. I mean, it took me like 7 years to like anybody on Voyager. Even though I love the show. Yeah, and on every rewatch, I love everybody more and more. But like everybody here is just so immensely likable, and you care about, even when they aren't, you still care about them and are rooting for them. And they're so 3-dimensional. And the pilot was just like a work of art. I think the show was fantastic, and I'm just so relieved that we don't have to worry about like, is there going to be a season 2? Because it's already in the cans.
All right. This is great stuff. Thank you very much, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel. All right. TJ Jackson Bay's out in Missouri, I bet. What'd you think of this one?
If you were betting, you'd be correct. I thought this episode and really the whole season were absolutely fantastic. I really appreciated the story that this Star Trek told to me. I saw the characters grow, and you know what really grabbed my attention was kind of the story between the 3 characters that we see start at the very beginning of the show and kind of wrap up in this episode. And on the surface, you know, it can kind of look like there's some kind of redemption story, you know, where, okay, you know, Caleb, you know, he's this guy, criminal, thief, and he comes back and joins the academy. Or you can say Anisha Mir, she, got in trouble and okay, she forgave Captain Aki. Great. But to me, there was more. Because I think these three characters, and I think Melissa kind of alluded to this, have scars that will never heal. Each of them have done things that they can't take back and they can never really make it right. Caleb said some mean stuff to his friends. Captain Ake separated a child from his mother. And Anisha Mir killed a man. And I think that many of us can see ourselves reflected in that, maybe not to that extreme, but we've all either done something or had something done to us that just never really goes away. So I really appreciate that, even as this story is tied up and wrapped up in this episode, that stuff is still there. Those things still happen, and it just doesn't go away. So, I appreciate it that they told the story that way, because that's reflective of how life really is. This stuff happens, and we just kind of have to move on from it. But it doesn't mean that it goes away, and it doesn't mean that it doesn't hurt. It doesn't mean that people weren't harmed. I was a little disappointed with the way things wrapped up with News Braka. I think he showed a lot more potential for death in his last episode, to just kind of end up being this kind of madman, mad because of his childhood. I did appreciate, however, how they really kind of showed, again, and I think, Mark alluded to this, reflective of the real world, how, when there's a strong man rising up, it's always based in some kind of fear. They try to sell you some kind of fear about, the system or the world, and they're going to save you from it. Moose Brock is not saving anybody. So I thought that, played really well, and it wasn't subtle at all. A quote that really stood out to me, also, made me feel kind of good, is the scene in engineering between Caleb and Reno, where, she harkens back to when I asked, who you are. You just told me, like, you just answered that when you went back for your friends. That's who you are. Because I don't think Caleb even realized that for himself before she said it. And so, again, that was one of the many teaching moments that she did in that crisis, that I thought was really grounded and really, reflective of things that we can do for each other to build each other up, is to tell each other who we are, who you are. This is who you are to me. And it should be positive. Sometimes it's negative, but it should be positive. Most people, have some goodness in them. And so she found the good in him and made sure that he heard it. I could say a lot more, but I'll save some for later.
There is no later.
There's always a later.
All right, if you're sure, because I'm going to say,
but
hit us with it right now if you want.
It's a lot of things left unsaid.
There is no things left. Yeah.
No things left unsaid. But no, I'll talk. Come find me. Call me. Message.
You will, and we will. Thank you very much. TJ, Jackson Bay out in Missouri. Carrie Schwent is the crafty bear. She loves Tatiana Maslany, is my guess. What'd you think of this episode?
Very much. I am fully with Anne-Marie in this episode. I loved every single second of it. It was fantastic. Probably one of my favorite season finales, probably overall. And what I loved most was everybody in the episode got moments or multiple moments, either like individually or in pairs. Genesis and Sam, that little bit of them making up. Genesis starts speaking the language, and you can tell Sam wants to stay mad, but she cracks and just gets that little bit of a smile. It warmed my heart. Yeah, everybody did great. My favorite pair, though, and we finally got some really good scenes with them between last episode just in this episode, sorry, with Nala and Anisha. Anisha. Yeah, words are hard. But both of them showed just the stellar acting that both of them are capable of. Case in point, behind me, I finally get to gush over Tatiana Maslany. She is awesome. Loved her since the first episode of Orphan Black. She-Hulk deserved a second season because she crushed it in that show too. She looked fantastic green. But yeah, just the scenes with Nala and Anisha, they finally got to have it out between them. Anisha has every reason to not trust Nala, but she was smart enough to know that the two of them had to work together to get the better of Noose, and they were able to do both at the same time, and I loved both of them for that. And yeah, both of those women are just teeny tiny. And both of them standing next to Caleb both look even shorter. I love that just kind of juxtaposition. Something else I really enjoyed was the Discovery reference, because I was thinking in between episodes, Discovery could totally pop in and save the day, and they had a great couple lines explaining why Disco wasn't going to pop in and save the day. And if anybody rewatching the episode, at the end of the episode during Caleb's log, if you watch out the window, you can see Discovery on the edge of the screen. I had to pause it a couple of times before I finally found it, and when I did, it made me smile. And something else that made me smile was we got to see the mobile emitter, and I love that he still has it. Mine is purple. I got mine on the Star Trek cruise this time around, so I loved having my little prop. And the headcanon I came up with how Doc was able to figure out how to stabilize. He was like in the computer for a little bit, so there was probably something in there that the knowledge that he absorbed. So when he came out, it was word salad, but he did eventually get it out. And you could see the light bulb in Jaden's head flip on when they started talking with the made up language. Caleb Jaden knew exactly in that moment what the Doc was trying to get across. I hope they never ever stop in every episode going forward some mention of that Talaxian fur fly. Every single episode, just hearing about that, just it cracked me up. And I will heap on the praise for Tig Notaro being a rock star. This was probably her best episode yet. Just the great teachable moments without losing her trademark snark, and her was it show me the pretty lights when going to work. I can't remember exactly the wording on it, but that made me smile. Finally, and I did actually come up with a limerick for the episode. I love Caleb and Tarima. They are quickly becoming Imzadi status for me. And they finally trusted each other, and she was able to help find Anisha through her connection with Caleb. And who knows how long it would have taken them to find them without that connection. And I love that Caleb had that idea to use that connection. So I was okay with the brief field trip to the flowers, which were very, very pretty. But I will finish with the limerick that I came up with. It's a little sentimental. I'm sorry how I acted before. I could not know what would be in store. But you should trust in your gift. With me, you won't be adrift. I now believe in you down to my core.
Nice. Thank you very much. Carrie Schwent, a.k.a. Crafty Bear, and her poetry. Chris,
May I just add real quick
yes.
before you move on? Since Carrie brought up the Talaxian fur fly, I'm really annoyed that they didn't pay it off the way they seemed to have set it up in episode 9, that it was going to help save the day on the atrium, and it didn't.
Cliffhanger though for season 2. I just
wonder
fell
if that
down
just
the
didn't make
fly
the
rabbit
cut.
hole on Memory Alpha.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to find
You
out.
do hibernate. It could have been the same one from Enterprise or Voyager.
Hibernating in the replicator, maybe.
Chris Garris, your thoughts on the fur fly or this episode?
I'll just go with the episode because Firefly just didn't do anything. No, I enjoyed this episode. They did a good job, wrapping this season up. Thankfully they did not leave us on a cliffhanger at all. They actually just closed it up and gave us tied a bow on it. So I was happy about that. Yeah, a lot of people already said this, but yeah, oh my God, Jet Reno's humor, she was perfect in this episode, especially when she's literally grading them as she's giving them, telling them what to, or, basically when she's problem solving with them. Okay, what do we need to do to fix this? What do you do that? Okay, that's a B because you were too slow, but good job, And then when Caleb's like, well, that's a good answer. There's a lot of math in between, but yes, you got it. And so she did, she was able to break down the intensity that was going on because the ship had been freaking attacked and was falling down around them. So I really appreciate that with how she just kept her cool and her calm, and also she's 800 years old, so she's been around too for a bit. I paused a couple of times to try and read the Braca's news network just to see what it was, because the whole time it made me think of Trek Cultures, and I think it's the Rulick News Network or something like that Sean and them have on their show over there. So that was it was kind of fun. Now I really feel like they blew it with Genesis though because she, they give her command. That was awesome. They totally. Why did they have to end it with her? I gotta go pee. I mean, I know they were trying to be humorous, but that's that's not just the way to do that. You took this very intense, great moment for her. She's command. She wants to be command, and then I gotta go bathroom. Like they just completely sucked the air out of the room with that one. Bad form of the writers for that one. Great that they put her in the chair, but they should have done something better with that. And so what I liked about the Omega particle though, because we learned about the Omega particle in the Voyager episode, the Omega Directive, and the Borg tried. I remember they said they sacrificed thousands of drones to do it, and then finally we now have stabilized this particle. And it makes me wonder, and kind of goes with something Carrie was talking about or someone said about, with the doctor being the computer, if he somehow remembered or knew what Seven did to stabilize the particle right there at the end of the episode. Because if I remember correctly, she did stabilize, because that was the one thing her and Janeway were getting an argument over, and she stabilized it, but then they blew it up. So maybe the Federation and Starfleet did have that technology, and he somehow got get into there. So hopefully we don't find the Borg, because now that we have the particle stabilized, they'd want it. I don't know who else will thought about this. I swear I was waiting for Terima, because they had a lot of good lines there, but I was really waiting for her when, you could see Caleb was ready to go out and try to save his mother. And she looks at him and says, it's these two versus, the trillions of people that they would be, killing by setting off the limit. And I just was waiting for her to say the line, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the one or the few. They didn't. But God, that would have been so awesome if she would have said that, because that's basically what she was alluding to. And I did I don't know what it was. I did enjoy how, I'm wondering if she's maybe somehow part of the House of Troy or something, because of the fact that she did exactly what Counselor Troy did in Nemesis when she, found how to, the guy in the scimitar so that they could attack the scimitar and then, and start shooting at it. And so, but I did like that because it finally it showed how her and Caleb, he finally is trusting her to let her in, which that was a huge step for him. So that was good. And I know I talked to some other groups, last week. I was wondering if Discovery would just show up, like, because they could, if they could go through the, use the, oh my God, through the mycelial network. And of course, luckily they wrapped that up real quick, said, nope, you're not. Basically, they were like, you're not seeing Discovery. Nope. If she goes through the mycelial network, it'll set it off as well. So Vance shut that down real quick. And so I was like, yeah, it'd be kind of cool to see the ship come in and help out. But anyway, they didn't do that. If I had some I hate to say nitpicks, since we're not doing things left unsaid, I will say that, can we have not had another major, we're going to blow up the galaxy / quadrant again? Because we've had that every episode of almost just, at least one, Discovery season 3 from the burn. This is like the burn 2.0. So come on, guys, and they even said this is going to be worse than the burn. So I don't know.
Yeah,
they could have maybe
literally said it.
they said that exactly. So they could have maybe done something anyway. But like I said, but then I loved at the end, the baby pictures. I was not expecting that whatsoever. Like we were saying some earlier, the only bad thing is it almost gives you like a finality of the series, not just an episode. But regardless, you have to go back and read it. And if you read the one from Jet Reno from Tig Notaro, she's like, really? I came after the 2 computer voices. So it's a good episode. Go watch it and then go back and rewatch all 10 of them, and you'll really have a good day.
If you watch them all in one day. Thank you very much, Chris Garris. Great stuff as always. The Matt Boardman. You have great days every day. What did you think of this one?
Well, like Melissa said, I appreciated that Captain Ake owned up to her life choices, to the things that she did, to the mistakes that she made. And what I appreciate about that is that I feel like if we're looking at Star Trek as a lens of today, there are a lot of people, without naming names, that I feel could benefit from accepting responsibility for the mistakes that they make. Right? I mean, it's never an easy thing to have that light shown on you and to have your mistakes pointed out by other people. And I'm sure at some point in our lives, we've all had that moment where somebody has said, hey, did you realize? And you have no retort for it, where you're just like, my only retort is that I suck, because you are absolutely right. So I appreciated that she owned up to it. And I as everyone else has pointed out, Tig Notaro, I mean, come on, flowers to you, because it's funny watching her character in Starfleet Academy versus how they utilized her in Discovery. And I really think that she has come into this character in Academy. I think that she has her sass. I was saying earlier today in another group that she reminds me a lot of some of my favorite teachers in high school. And those are the teachers who will give back exactly what you give to them, right? They're not taking any guff off of you, right? They're not you may come with your little teeny bopper attitude, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, that's cute, let me tell you what. And so I appreciate that about her. But those 2 performances made me think about this season of Academy, in the sense that one of the great things that this show has had is a level of instructors at this academy who show that they deserve to be instructors at this academy. One of the aspects of the show that I enjoy is that while we have the kids going off and doing their things, I've always felt like the adults have had some really good moments. and it just reflects upon, I think about my life now, where I'm on the other side of the table, where I have kids of my own, and I'm like seeing this stuff and how they laugh at the stupid things that these kids do, and it's like, you want to be serious, no, you can't do that, but meanwhile you're going, oh my gosh, that's totally what I would have done when I was that age. So I think that's a very strong point of this series. And conversely to that, you, like Melissa said, Caleb's mom did not own up to her things. And I will say that there's a little part of me that was a little disappointed that it didn't turn out for her to be like the ultimate like villain of the whole thing. I was like, I kept waiting for that shoe to drop and have it to be like, just kidding, it's me this whole time, right? But
Same. Me too.
but yeah, I think at the end of all of it, it's going to be interesting to see where the show goes this next season. Now that we have a season under our belt here with this, what changes are made? Because as you watch previous iterations of Star Trek, sometimes you came into them a little bit later into their development, and watching a show for the first time, it's very easy to look at all the things that, well, I would have done this differently, I would have done that differently, I didn't like this, I didn't like that, I didn't like this. But trying to keep that mindset that we want to give the show an opportunity to grow, right? We're building a foundation here. Where does it go from here? I don't know. I'm curious to see what is next for this and what stories we're going to get now that they've laid the foundation of these characters. And also, one last thing, I agree. I'm sorry, but when you're in the middle of a conflict, of a crisis, heart to hearts, no. Minds to minds. Let's pay attention. Let's get the thing done. Let's take care of the task
30
at hand.
seconds left on the clock before the bomb blows up. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's not talk about our childhood right now. No.
Yeah, exactly. Well, tell me what you think about this moment in your life. Did you think that as you looked upon the flowers in the field here, what did those represent to you? And as we do so, we come to this understanding that the flowers actually represent I'm like, Lord have mercy. I went back to see how long that scene was, and the fact that I had to go back to see how long it was, I was like, it's still going. I appreciate those moments, those tender moments. I really do. I think that a well-rounded show has those tender moments that touch our hearts, because that's what endears us to those characters, along with the trials that they go through. But it has a time and a place. And I miss that let's get the job done moment, and then let's look back at it and reflect on what worked and what didn't work in that moment. And now we have that coming together where we talk about, and I understand that moment kind of had a purpose, but it could have been, for me, it could have been a lot quicker. We didn't need to have this like, hey, by the way, I love you too. No, we got to go. We got to go. There's mines. There's things. Things are going to blow up. Things are going to get splody for a little bit here. You know what I mean? Things are going to get splody. There's going to be rocks flying from consoles here. We don't, now's not the time. So, that's just my thing. But you know what? I will say that this is a prime reason why we need more than 10 episodes. Because if we have more than 10 episodes, we can slow down that character development and not try to cram it all into 10 episodes. And
Amen.
I think that is a case in point, because that's how we get to know these characters. That's how we get to love these characters. More episodes.
Thank you very much, the Matt Boardman. Great points. We're just about out of time, but Matt, I just want to tell you, I really appreciate the time that you and I have spent together on all this. Jake's final take, everybody. We did it. Sirach, please put the final bow, wrap this thing up, this season, this inaugural season.
Is it Jake or hologram Jake? It's final take.
Oh, hologram.
Or ghost Jake.
I enjoyed this season. I thought it was a very good season for a first series, first season of a show. They kind of got a lot of characters there that I care about, that I feel like I know now after 10 episodes. So kudos to them for creating a universe that is believable for me and that I'm excited to see more about. I think that They did a great job with Paul Giamatti casting as the main villain for this season because he brought a little extra to make it that much more juicy to watch. And I love some of his reactions during this episode. You know, when Caleb's mom says to Captain Ake, she says, "Nothing like a soft landing, huh?" And he laughs in the back. He's just like, "Yeah, exactly. Yeah, give it to her. Like, tell her. Yeah, and he's so excited about her getting, you know, the moment. And so another time was when Captain Ake said, "I bet you have a detonator on you," and he doesn't look like you got me there. You know, I'm not going to tell you, but you know. And it's just these moments that he embellishes that I really enjoy in his performance. So shout out to him, great villain with this show. I did like the kind of Mad Max set design that they had with the luminous graffiti on the set, and they kind of, you know, made it really look punked out. So that was cool. I like the design flaw callback with the pressurized, you know, chamber there where they were able to hide out in the airlock. I like that. That was a good callback. Just good writing for me. Yeah, I mean, the love between Tarima and Caleb really reminds me of Dal and Gwyneth from Prodigy. It's just that there's a very similar kind of way they're falling for each other to me. But I also, you know, I also wondered what happens when they're in that special moment when they're like in their mind meld together. Is everybody else just standing there watching them all frozen and like?
That's
Like
what I'm saying.
what does everybody else
said
do?
I love you?
Do you not
Yeah.
humor wise?
Yeah.
They should have showed the outside and everybody looking and being like,
Yeah, like Jet
What?
Reno.
Okay,
Reno,
dude.
like
Get
Reno,
a
like,
room later. Get a
What's going
room
on?
later.
seriously.
Now's not
I
the
said,
time.
yeah. I said, take
Oh my
us on
God.
more. What are you guys doing? Like, because it's like nobody else knows what's happening in that moment. Like, it's like, does time stand still? Is it different time than, you know?
Yeah, that's
what
the
I want.
impression I get from that. Is time stands still for him because who would waste that time doing all that stuff in the
Yeah. Yeah, so that's I
also
would
would
love to
look
see the
weird.
shot. It would look weird. I'd love to see everybody else just on the bridge, like looking over, like, what's going on right here? Why are they frozen?
a bunch of reaction shots.
yeah, exactly. But yeah, and also good job for the director. Olutunde did a great job on directing this episode. I thought it was
Olatunde Onsunsani.
Olatunde. Yes, I gotta meet him so I can ask him how he pronounces his name. But
He's a cool dude. He's actually a very cool dude.
and I imagine that, and I thought he did a fantastic job weaving all of the storylines that they set up for us this whole year into this one final episode. It went very well, and you know, Tig Notaro I thought was the standout for me in the moments that she had because she's just so good at being sarcastic and but also feels like she cares about people, so it's great. Yeah, it's a good show, good season, first season. I think they really knocked it out of the park as far as first seasons go and setting up a show and giving us a bookend. So this season now I can feel like I can just kind of wash it away and now start with a blank slate for the second season, knowing all of the characters' backgrounds. So I don't feel any kind of looming or hanging unresolved things that I'm carrying into the second season. I'll be watching the second season with a fresh set of eyes and now knowing the characters a lot better. So kudos to them for giving us a really good show and really holding true to the Starfleet Academy that I envisioned, which is young kids, young cadets learning about what it means to be Starfleet. And I think they summed that up as pretty good this year.
Mm-hmm. And I'm looking forward to Jake Siska returning as a series regular in season 2. Man, this is exciting. Can't wait for that.
No
Let's
spoilers.
do it.
No spoilers.
Start
All
calling
right.
you Hollow Teach.
Thank you very much to the Matt Boardman, Chris Garris, Carrie Schwent, TJ Jackson Bay out in Missouri, Dr. Anne-Marie Siegel, Mark Zutkoff, Allison Leach Hyde with her Tig Notaro shirt, Melissa Longer with her Starfleet Academy shirt. For myself, Sirach, Melissa, Mr. Aaron Eisenberg, who had a ship named after him, a whole class. Thank you all very much for hanging out with us. Leave your comments in the comments section below to let us know what you thought of this series, because people haven't been doing much of that lately. And
No,
we
not
will
at
see you
all.
next time. And until then, always remember the 7th rule.